Just get it going.
For anybody who wants to be detailed capital programs and budget. For anybody who does want a copy, I have it right now. This is also detailed for department payroll numbers and titles.
There were only 2 copies after Jeff's.
Yes, I understand. No, I understand that. I didn't print out 3. I didn't. I only print out 3 copies for just the immediate handout. If people want, excuse me, if people want more, a physical copy, happy to print that out and provide it. Otherwise, I can email digital copies.
Digital would be, I would prefer that digital, but I like this hard copy.
Okay. I'll send out both digital,
Okay.
you know, just for convenience, but for people who want payroll details, title and. Oh, it's not.
Right, isn't that what you have? No.
I made a mistake on that, but it's-
Is there no more? So.
No, I'm sorry, I only printed 3 copies of this, the capital program. If you want to hang out after, I'll print another copy for you.
Oh.
But I also thought I'd provide it digitally, as well. So I did make a mistake on the summary page here. There's some titles missing, on the summary page for the table, but I'll update that and I'll also send that out, to folks as well. Okay, this time I'd like to call the City of Plattsburgh Common Council Planning Development Meeting to order. It is 5:04 p.m. First order of business is the approval of the minutes of the September 14, 2023 Finance Committee Development Committee motion. Council adopts second. Council gives any changes, alterations, or deletions. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. 2.1 discussion 2023 year-to-date reports. Standard report provided to council, updates of expenses and revenue in the city for all funds, which has been provided in your packet. Any questions about that so far? All right, 2.2 draft resolution authorizing certificate of withdrawal from foreclosure of the city of Plattsburgh city property tax lien 206 USO motion. Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Bob. Discussion.
Where is this?
Yeah, sure. If you, the only point of reference I have, which is no indication of my social life, is Oval Brewing. It's just west of that.
So you're facing that building.
If you're facing Oval, it's the one right on to the right side of it. It has the chimney that's kind of collapsing.
Oh, with the broken window.
And look through the
Broken
white
window.
on the same.
Creamy window side.
I
Okay,
haven't looked at it, it's
So-
in bad shape.
why are we withdrawing the foreclosure?
So there's a couple of different things, the reasons why we do this. One is we do not want to foreclose on property that has no inherent value to the city of Plattsburgh other than a liability. Well, let me take a step back. The city's position is never to just automatically foreclose on properties. It's not something that we want to do. I know that there's both business and residential properties on the tax foreclosure list this year. It's not, you know, obviously when people, when people find themselves in financial distress, this may not be that case, but when people do find themselves in financial distress and can't pay their tax bill, there is the opportunity for the city of Plattsburgh to foreclose on that property to regain some of those tax losses, those property tax losses. One of the reasons why we wouldn't foreclose on a property, much similar to why we didn't foreclose on 15 Couch Street and take that into possession, because it becomes more of a liability for the city of Plattsburgh than it does become a property that can be either sold or liquidated or rehab or something to provide some value to either reimburse the city for lost tax revenues that had been paid or sold to a developer of some sort that can then be turned around into some useful property. That's one of these properties. Has been one of these derelict, broken buildings that really.
For a long time.
And if the city were to then take ownership of this property, we would then be the ones who are the owners of this, albatross of a monstrosity on the city, on the oval. And again, it's just not something that we feel is appropriate and would not necessarily want to foreclose on and take ownership of that.
Is it considered an historical building? I mean, that whole area is historical, so is it considered an historical business? Well, yeah, that's.
Well,
Within a historic district.
it is
Yeah.
within the historic district. I do not believe that it's on the historical registry, which would indicate that it would be a historical building. But it is in the historic district, so much like the other buildings and facilities and improvements that have been done in that district, it would require SHPO approval, much like our windows did, and we went through this whole round of improvements for city hall windows, that even those little nodules on the top of frame needed to be replicated because it's historically accurate. They have a name too, I forgot the name of them.
How much, excuse me, how much in unpaid property taxes are we looking at? Is that the issue? Is unpaid property tax?
No, that is, there's two different issues, there's two different items on this agenda. This one is not necessarily, this one does not necessarily address the unpaid or back taxes owed on this property.
How much is it though?
How much 206 US over?
I have to look, I didn't look at the number.
Okay.
What this does is say, we're not going to foreclose on it this year. And we need to do that to provide a certificate to the Real Property Services Office to say that this is no longer a property that's foreclosed. And then the next issue is to say, we want to remove it from the tax roll so that it doesn't continue to accumulate taxes for the city, the county, and for the school district. And for this, the county and the school district, the city has to make those taxes good because we guarantee the tax rolls. So if we don't foreclose on the property, sell it at auction and recover on the taxes, we just keep paying the school district and the county on the taxes that are in there.
So I would be interested to know how much we're talking.
Of course.
It's 3 or 4 years worth. Lake City Holdings just has decided to stop paying the taxes on it because they don't want the building anymore. They want the city to foreclose on it.
Who owns it?
Lake City Holdings.
So it's an LLC.
As many of these properties are, much like 15 Cal Street is an holding company or some type of legal liability company. We've talked about this before, and NICOM has also introduced legislation to, lack of a better term, pierce the corporate veil to hold principles of LLCs who use the LLC more of a sword rather than a protective mechanism. They use it in more of an abusive way rather than a protective way to protect their own land, their own personal assets and personal assets. In this case, it's using an LLC typically is looked at in more of an abusive manner because it does shield the principals from their obligation to the taxpayer and paying the property tax.
So by next week, can we get a dollar amount?
I can get it to you right away.
That would be great.
Thank
Thank you.
Yes.
Do we know what the value of this building is? I mean, I know it's damaged, but
Sure.
do we have any idea of its assessed value?
I have to look that up too. I didn't bother to get the numbers on it because we just have to, get past this. Or else it keeps on festering as an open wound.
That's something else I'd be interested in.
Forever.
We will note that more recently there was a tour of the building and it is bad. Yeah. It is extremely bad. Like there's not many people that we know in the city of Plattsburgh, developer wise, that would be willing to take on a property like this.
You can tell by the street, I drove by it.
It is not that great. That's really not great.
So let me ask this, what is the future of this property? Supposing we go through with all of this, we don't foreclose, we remove it from the tax lane, does it just continue to crumble? Is that what we're saying?
It's been doing the same.
So just that
I think we have a similar 15 Cal Street situation where, when push comes to shove, we can put some pressure on the owners or try to get a hold of the owners and do some deal with them. Otherwise, you know, we're faced with the city owning a derelict property like this, and then also being saddled with the burden of demolition of such a large structure, if that becomes the case. We're not developers. We're not gonna put our workforce to repairing the building, it's just, you know, obviously it's not an ideal situation for that neighborhood or the city project.
Do we know who the principals are behind the Lake City
I
buildings?
couldn't, I can speculate, I do not know.
Oh, we don't know.
Well, hopefully this isn't gonna linger out there for 11 years like the other property did. How big is the lot? Would be my question.
I don't have the details, I'll get it to you.
What we'll do is, let us,
I can look it up.
yeah.
I mean, if you give me the,
We can
Parcel
look at it.
IDs right there. If you have the attachments.
So the parcel ID right there, it's Clinton County GIS, you can look it up. Clinton County
You
tax
can look
map.
up all the tax details right online, under the city's website.
unless I didn't want to take.
Yeah, you just put the parcel ID and you can see what the.
Because it is
Yeah,
a.
taxes are, what the size of the building is, what the assessment is. You see all that.
So for folks who don't have or not familiar with the tax map, Clinton County tax map, we'll do a quick report. And send it out next day or two.
Okay.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor of moving this to the regular meeting?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Item 2.3, draft resolution authorizing cancellation of city of Plattsburgh, city property tax lien 206 Illinois. Councilor Bond, second, Councilor Evans. Discussion, this too, again, a similar approach that we did with 15 Couch Street a couple years back, was to take this off of the tax roll, to avoid having to pay and reimburse the county and the school district. The obligation of the city as the primary tax collector or tax jurisdiction is to make whole those other tax jurisdictions. Without tax revenue coming in from property tax, somebody not paying their property tax, the city still is obligated to pay the appropriate amount of property tax per assessed value on a particular property to both Clinton County and as well as the school district. By doing this, again, similar to what we did to King County Street, by doing this, we are no longer obligated to pay those, pay that debt, that burden without the appropriate reimbursement from the property owner. For discussion, no, all in favor of moving this to regular meeting?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Item 3.1, draft resolution adoption of final harborside master plan for the city of Plattsburgh. Councilor Bond, second. Councilor Bond, discussion. All right, fair enough. Again, documents are provided. I know Councilor gives that's a problem to accessing that information.
But not open it.
Understood. It's a very large document. I believe Matt has provided, did you provide a physical?
Yes.
Physical?
Yeah, the only thing.
195 page document.
Yeah, I think this summary that you gave us was absolutely sufficient. It was just, there were some appendices referenced in here that I could not access, so I'm gonna take a look at them and copy what I want, and then I'm just gonna return the binder to Matt.
Fair enough. Much appreciated. I'm sure there's not many of those binders floating around, if that might be the only one, maybe.
That's the only printed copy, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, obviously it's a pretty valued asset.
I won't keep it, I'll bring it back.
Fair enough. Again, any questions or clarifications, please forward them over throughout the week. This is a pretty clearly important guiding document for the future of our downtown development, green space and waterfront access. So any concerns or questions, please raise them so that we can address them.
I just have a question, it's not a concern, it's just a
Yeah,
question. The adoption of the Harborside Master Plan, what does that do for us as a city? I mean, the obvious, of course, is that it gives us a pathway designed by somebody, but is it going to make it easier for us to apply for grants to complete some of these projects? Is that the overarching goal? of this
Yeah,
plan?
aside from its value as a planning document, a secondary value is its utility in future grant applications. Funding agencies always look favorably on applications that are based on existing planning documents, especially the ones that were funded by previous grants, which this one
This
was.
one was, that's right, okay. Okay,
Any further discussion on this? All in favor of moving this to the regular meeting? Any opposed? Carried. No public comment tonight. Any new business to come before the committee? Seeing none, all motion to adjourn. Motion, I'm sorry, geez. Counselor Ron, second by Counselor Jim, all in favor? Opposed? Thanks. Folks.